Some of the most expensive work happening inside of a company isn't work the customer is even paying for. It's sales explaining the same deal to delivery searching through emails to find out what was promised, managers chasing missing decisions, finance trying to reconstruct what changed, and senior people rebuilding information the company already has somewhere else. Most companies, they look at all that activity and they conclude they either need another coordinator, another project manager, or another layer of management. But before I add another salary, I look at how much work is being created between departments. My name is Nolan Grout, and I take expensive business workflows and tell you the AI system that I would build before spending more money or hiring more people. And today, I want to look at what I believe is one of the largest sources of hidden work inside of growing companies, the handoff. To make this concrete, I'm going to use one of the most common examples. A company closes a new deal and now sales has to hand that customer over to the delivery team. On paper, this sounds simple. Sales closes the deal, delivery gets the information, the work begins. But that's rarely what actually happens. The signed agreement contains one version of the deal. The final proposal, it contains another layer of detail. The customer explained their priorities during several sales calls, and someone made some commitment somewhere in an email. Pricing approved an exception, and legal may have changed a term, and the salesperson, they remember something important that never even made it into formal documentation. It's just in their head. Delivery, they receive part of this information, schedule the kickoff, and start asking the questions. What exactly did we promise? Who owns this? What does the customer expect? And what was included in the price we gave them? Did anybody approve that? And where is the latest version? None of this activity directly creates value for the customer, but it is work that the customer has or that the company has to perform just to understand its own commitment. That's kind of what I mean by the work isn't the real work. The people doing it are absolutely working. They're often working very hard, but the company is paying expensive people to search, chase, clarify, reformat, and reconstruct information that the company already owns, right? And here's the problem with solving that just by hiring another person, because that new person becomes another human bridge between broken parts of the company. They attend more meetings, they send more follow-up emails, they might create another spreadsheet that has just specific info. They remind everyone to complete the handoff form. They might help temporarily, but the underlying workflow is still dependent on people who are remembering what to ask, where to look, and who needs to respond. So if I were rebuilding this workflow, I wouldn't start with another form, and I wouldn't start with a chat bot that waits for someone to ask a question. Instead, I'd build a governed AI system that begins working as soon as the deal reaches the appropriate stage. Its first job would to be reconstruct the actual promise made to the customer. The system would review the approved sources that were behind the deal, the signed agreement, like the final proposal, relevant sales notes, video call transcripts, pricing approvals, important email threads, and any scope or implementation documents that were connected to the sale. Then we create one structured record of the deal. What was sold, what was explicitly excluded, what deadlines were discussed, what does the customer have to provide? So actual concrete facts, not things that the AI has to go query again. We just line all of the concrete facts up, right? So that alone, it can remove a meaningful amount of chasing and reconstruction. But creating a clean summary is not the most valuable part of the system. In fact, the most valuable part of the system is finding where the company's own sources disagree. Because imagine the proposal says delivery will take 8 weeks, the contract it might say 10 weeks, and someone told the customer on a call that they'd try to finish it in a month. A typical AI summary might combine all of that into something that sounds reasonable, but that would end up being dangerous. We don't want an AI system smoothing over contradictions. I want it exposing them instead. So I'd have a specialized review stage, examine every important commitment, and classify it. If something's confirmed, it means it can appear in the approved final agreement. If it's supported, it means it appears consistently across multiple approved sources. And like an unclear tag might mean the sources disagree and the commitment was never really formally approved, or the system can't actually tell which version is the authority. This is where the system creates more than just administrative efficiency. It begins protecting margin, customer trust, and delivery capacity. Because an unclear promise discovered before kickoff is a question. That same promise discovered 6 weeks later is a problem now. And that's where many AI implementations are going wrong. They're optimizing for producing an answer where I would optimize for knowing when the system should not produce an answer. The AI agent can collect the evidence, it can compare the sources, it can identify the contradictions throughout. Then it can prepare a question, but a person, they still have to own that commercial decision. The system does not get to decide that the company has promised 6 weeks instead of 10. It surfaces the conflict to the appropriate person instead and says, here are the 3 versions, here is where each one came from, and here is the potential impact of these conflicts. Which commitment should delivery use? Once the resolved items have been reviewed, now the system can prepare the delivery package. That might include just like an internal kickoff brief, a customer kickoff agenda, initial work streams and milestones, proposed owners, customer responsibilities to us, known dependencies, a risk register, the first week action list, and a clear record of maybe every item that will still require a human approval. I might use one coordinating AI agent with several specialized sub-agents behind it. One focused on commercial commitments, one on delivery requirements, one on risk and contradictions, and one responsible for assembling the final plan overall. That's multi-agent orchestration, but the business value isn't that several AI agents are involved. The business value is that every deal goes through the same review process without asking people to manually reconstruct every single little thing from the beginning. The output, it also shouldn't quietly disappear into another document that nobody reads. It should move into the tools where the work actually happens, right? The customer record gets updated, the delivery team receives its approved brief, the unresolved decisions go to the people who actually own them. The kickoff's prepared and the system keeps a record of what was approved by whom and based on which source. That last part matters because if an AI system is involved in customer commitments, I want traceability. I want someone to be able to look at an important statement and see where it came from. Not just some kind of polished paragraph that sounds super convincing. Now, this video is about a sales to delivery handoff, but the larger problem is much broader. The same pattern appears when sales hands information to finance, when finance hands information from department leaders, when a customer issue moves from support over to product team, and when a contract, it moves from the business team to the legal team. When a new employee moves from recruiting to HR, IT, and their manager, and when acquisition, you get the point, right? Every department, they may perform their individual jobs well. The expensive failure, though, often happens between those jobs. That's why a company can hire more tainted people and still feel slower in the end. More people create more communication paths, more approvals, more tools, more places for information to live. And more moments when someone has to translate work from one part of the company into a form that another part can actually use. At some point, adding people to manage the coordination creates almost as much coordination as it removes. So can one AI system turn every closed deal into a complete delivery plan? My verdict is yes, with an important limitation. I would let the system reconstruct the deal. I would let it compare sources. I would let it expose contradictions. I would let it prepare the delivery plan. And I would even let it route missing decisions to the appropriate people. But I would never let it independently decide what the company promised. People should continue to own commercial commitments, unusual expectations, customer relationships especially, and the delivery judgment. The AI system handles the repetitive work surrounding those decisions so that people can spend their time actually making them. And that distinction matters. The objective is not to remove people from the business. The objective is to stop using people as the integration layer holding a broken workflow together. If this feels familiar inside your company, I wouldn't begin by asking, where can we even use AI? I'd ask, where are expensive people repeatedly just chasing information? Where's the same information being reconstructed time and time again? Where does work stop while one department has to wait on another? And which workflow is creating enough hidden labor that the company is even considering another hire? That is what my AI workflow cost map is designed to identify. It maps the workflow, the people involved, the delays, the repetitive work, the decisions that still require human judgment. There's more information below if that would be useful for your company. Because AI doesn't create capacity by blindly replacing people. It creates capacity by removing the work nobody was hired to do in the first place. My name's Nolan Grout. Again, I help businesses implement real AI agents, real workflows, and I also help people just like you get started down in my school community, right? We got AI agents working to grow our brands, marketing, our brand social media pages, our personal brands, our businesses, all of it. Okay, come get it. You don't have to even learn how to build. You can just steal my systems. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, my name's Nolan. Let me know what you're trying to automate in your business below, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate your time today. Peace.